Get business done with the new American Express Graphite Business Cash Unlimited card. With unlimited 2% cash back on all eligible purchases, unlimited 5% cash back on flights and prepaid hotels booked through American Express Travel Online, and a flexible spending capacity that can grow with your business, you'll have the confidence to keep building. Apply today and earn a welcome offer of $1,500 cash back after you spend $50,000 in qualifying purchases on your new card within the first 6 months of card membership. Terms apply. Learn more at go.amex/graphite.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast instead of doom scrolling? Smart move. Another smart move? Getting help from one of State Farm's 19,000 local agents when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Your body isn't a problem to fix. It's a system to support. From PMS to pregnancy to menopause. Ollie's Women's Wellness line is built on real science for every stage. No guilt, no stigmas, just science-backed supplements that work with you, not against you. Choose science over shame. Find support at a retailer near you or on ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It is Jay Scott, and it is The Hook Rocks, the ultimate rock community podcast. I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. As I always mention, we are part of the Pantheon Podcast Network, a great network of music-related podcasts, including the official Metallica podcast, the Metallica Report. So please check out that and all the other great music podcasts on pantheonpodcast.com. And you can also check them out on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Pantheon Pods, as well as The Hook Rocks on all three of those platforms. Just check out The Hook Rocks. And don't forget to write us a review whenever you're done listening to an episode. We do appreciate it. We do encourage you to write a review. We always like to read your feedback and let us know what you think of the show. We've had some incredible guests since the beginning of the year. We've had Joe Satriani. We've had Scott Halliday of Rival Sons. We just welcomed George Lynch, Rick Emmett from Triumph, and many others as well. And some just great episodes coming up, including the one we have today, which has been, I've been hoping to get this for a while now. We finally are able to do it. It's with one of my favorite bands. It's a Swedish band named Lucifer, which we've had on the show before. And my guest is the singer, Johanna Sadonis. What's going on, Johanna? How are you?
Great. Thank you so much. It's nice to talk to you. What part of the world are you in? Or what state in America? I hear your American accent.
Yeah, we are in Chicago, Illinois.
Ah, beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
Love Chicago. Spent my last Thanksgiving there.
Yes, you guys were playing at the Bottom Lounge in November.
That's correct. And we had Ron Holzner of the Skull Trouble cook Thanksgiving dinner for us.
Oh, wow.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Was that your first time in Chicago?
No, we actually played in Chicago on at least one occasion before. The first US tour was we were supporting High on Fire in 2016, I believe. And we played in Chicago, but I don't remember the name of the venue.
Okay.
But it was like in this neighborhood with all these beautiful old mansions. It was on the first floor of an old, beautiful building.
Okay. Trying to think what building that could possibly be, but no, there's so many venues in Chicago.
Right. Yes.
You know, that's one of the unique things about this area is there's a lot. I mean, I talk about it all the time on the show that you could roll out of bed and you're at a venue. I mean, not just in the city, but other areas too, as well, outside of the city, where it's never a shortage of shows here.
Yeah, I love Chicago. It's a great city. It's a very beautiful city. And I love the setting of it.
Yeah.
The big lakes. Yeah.
It's right on the lake. It's got a beautiful lakefront. I've been all over the country here. And of course I'm biased because I'm from Chicago, but Chicago, in my opinion, has the best food. It has one of the best cities. I know we get a lot of media coverage on the violence, but the violence is really is really in one area of the city. It's not spread out. It's not, I mean, Chicago's a large city, and it's normally about 80% of the crime is contained to one area in the city of Chicago. But yeah, it's such a gorgeous city.
Absolutely.
A lot of music history too as well, especially with the blues and everything. Did you get a chance to check out like Chess Records or any of the blues stuff while you were here?
Unfortunately not, no, because when we were there last time, it was Thanksgiving, so everything was closed. And I don't know what happened last time, but usually, you kind of need a day off to explore a city a little bit. Otherwise, it can be a little bit stressful. You go from one city to the next and you have really long drives. And often, yeah, you just don't have the time, unfortunately. That's the downside of touring, because you get to go to a lot of places and I wish I could see a lot more. Yeah.
What's it like for you guys touring America? I know the expense is very high. I've talked to a lot of bands who've come from Europe and other parts of the world to tour, and of course the visa situation and getting approved for that as the expense has gone up. What's the impact for a band like Lucifer on the expense side, but then versus the building your audience and playing for the North American audience, which you don't get to do a lot?
Right. Yes, it's very difficult to tour the United States for European bands, and that's why not so many do it or don't do it very often. We've done it now the fifth time, and it's really not feasible at all. You have to be an idealist and really love your fans to do that. If I speak frankly, we lost money on every US tour. Basically, like you're lucky if you break even. It's just the cost of, travel, visas, crew, gas, hotels, everything, vehicles to, get from one place to the next. All that together leaves nothing to the band, when you're a band or a size. But since Lucifer has quite a big fan base in America, it's very important for us to tour there. And we have bitten that bullet a few times. But, it always hurts my heart a little bit because it's quite a lot of work also that goes like unpaid, in preparing all this. And it hurts my heart when I see a comment, like 2 weeks later, after coming home, I saw you guys were playing in LA. I couldn't make it because of this and that, but see you next time, And it's like, man, we just, basically ripped the last shirt off our backs to do this, But that's, I think that goes the other way around too, even though American bands, at least not yet, have any visa fees to pay when they come to Europe as a US band. They still have almost the same costs, with traveling and everything. And crew is very expensive. So basically, touring, especially after the pandemic, is not very feasible. It's actually, the money is at festivals for bands, and or strategy in Lucifer, or my strategy, because I do the management, is kind of, quality instead of quantity. So now Lucifer actually is celebrating 10 years tomorrow. And by now, we've done the dog years. So we've done the festivals where we get paid very little, many of them, and now, because of the high costs and all the work that's behind it, I always say, well, we can't play below X amount anymore, because we've done that, been there. It's been 10 years, 5 albums, and, we can't do shit for free anymore. So it's like, I take the US tour because that was great. It was a great package with Coven and the Early Moods. And I love doing that. And I love to see the faces of our friends over there, and it's very important to me. And somehow we even it out, with the European tour and so on. But in the end, it's not really feasible. So we can't do it all the time. We have to do it, I don't know, every 5 years or something.
Well, it's also, this may sound, I don't know how this is going to sound, but when you tour every 5 years, you come to America, it's it's more or less a gauge of where your audience is growing in America too. Like because you don't tour here, as often as you'd like. So if you do it, every few years, every 5 years, maybe you see the growth of the audience that, hey, maybe it's this music is penetrating North America. Like I just saw 1000 Mods, who's a band from Greece, in September of 2023, and they hadn't toured the U.S. in about 4 or 5 years too, as well. And they had, bigger crowds than they had before. It's such a hard thing to do with rock bands in America, with new bands, to gain an audience. And I can imagine what it's like for European or UK bands to come, or any band from overseas, because the landscape has changed so much in this country. And it's very disappointing as someone who loves rock music that it takes so much for a young band to really get noticed.
Yes. And, I mean, it's very easy nowadays as a young band, to start off. You don't even necessarily need a label. You can do a lot with Bandcamp and, somehow with your socials, spread the word and so on. But when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, it is very tough because, obviously the pandemic has made everybody's life harder, not only the bands with the travel costs and all the extra hidden fees for special luggage and whatnot, but also the people that go to shows. I mean, everything has gotten a lot more expensive, and people have to choose wisely what they spend their money on. It's very unfortunate. I do see a difference, of course. And also it's not like we would want to, play, tour to death in a way that you're kind of outstaying your welcome. You want to keep it interesting and, not be around way too much. I always think, quality over quantity is important, but it's a little bit of a shame when bands actually have to lose money to explore other countries where they do have listeners and so on. But yeah, that's what it is. And we love, being in a band and writing music and doing what we do. So you just have to find ways to somehow coexist in this climate that we have for musicians right now. But it's not so easy, also in other departments of being in a band, because you have the streaming platforms that don't pay what they should pay bands and musicians, and then you have the labels and a lot of people that are, that take money out of the band. I don't want to play the victim here because, if I have enough, I could do something else, become a funeral director or something. But I don't know what I'm saying. I still love what I'm doing. And I love creating and I love music. And I wish we wouldn't have to deal with all the boring stuff around it.
I don't take it as playing the victim at all. I think it's just the reality. I interview a lot of young bands or bands that have been around, 10, 15 years or less, like yourself. And it is an unfortunate reality in this country and around the world, where the landscape has changed so much over the past couple of decades, where it's hard for a band to penetrate an audience. There's so many things that make it difficult for bands. But I think bands like yourself and other bands, the positive things is that the young bands are really playing for the love of the music and the love of the crowd and the love of doing what they do. Exactly. And it really is an authentic moment in rock music history with all these bands. I mean, you can't get more authentic than it is now.
I guess, yeah, because I guess the ones that keep going, if you know how much work is behind it, then that there must be some sort of dedication for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You mentioned 10 years. What's it like to have this band be around for that long and keep releasing albums? You just released Lucifer 5 early part of this year. As you look back and reflect on the last 10 years, what's been the biggest thing that you take away from this band?
I think there's not one thing. It's actually the sum of it all, and that it's been 5 albums. And I think the great thing that makes me really happy is we might not be some sort of hype band that gets like an easy, quick success or whatever, but I would say Lucifer is at least a reliable, steady rock and roll machine that somehow is growing slowly, but it's always growing. And by that, I mean that, every time we put out an album, we gain some more fans. The curve never really goes down. And the ones that we had from the beginning, at least most of them stay with us. And that just feels good. It's like a relationship that's, it's a long-term relationship that's kind of reliable, and I think it just makes me happy that the stuff that that we put out into the world, I can speak for me personally. I mean, for me, it's a vehicle. Yeah, it's my baby, and when other people can find something in there that somehow, whatever music does to one as a music fan. I mean, same for me. I'm a huge music fan. And what I get out of albums that I love, if that really actually works, that other people feel that there's some people in the world that feel that way about a Lucifer album, that makes me super happy, because it's not a given. And I just try to be humble and grateful. And you never know, how long you can do that, especially with the in quotations, hardships we've just talked about. So as long as I'm able to do what I love, I'm happy. And that my takeaway is only that, you never know when you start a band, what's going to happen. And I'm very satisfied with how it's going.
What I find most intriguing about Lucifer and why I enjoy the music is its uniqueness. I mean, there are bands that do similar things to you, but you've really kind of carved out your own corner of the music industry and in rock music, nonetheless. And because it brings together a lot of different elements, and it's a different take and a different perspective lyrically and subject matter, which a lot of bands are doing.
Oh, thank you. That's super nice of you to say. I don't know, maybe it's because some of us are so old that, I mean, it's, I don't think I could have done exactly this in that way 10 or 20 years ago, or when I was a teenager, when I started out in bands at the age of 14, I was singing in the first band, which is 30 years ago, so it takes many years of soaking up other people's music and art and films and books and stuff, and somehow filtering it through your own and spitting out something. So thank you.
It's from this album, from the first album to this album, Lucifer 5, where do you see the growth of the band the most?
I think it's such a graduate transformation. I mean, there's people, I try not to read so many reviews because I'm very sensitive. But, sometimes you do anyways with the record company sends you stuff. And some people say it has changed a lot, of course, between the first and the second album, which makes sense since it was a different lineup. I don't think it has, at least not in my eyes, transformed so much from the second to the fifth album. But yeah, I guess between the first and the second album, it just changed because of the different chemistry, different people, different chemistry.
Remember, Led Zeppelin got bad reviews too when they were around. So
I think it's not so much that I'm hurt by bad reviews, which surprisingly there are actually not so many, which is super nice. It's just sometimes people misunderstand stuff, or they have really strange references. Like for example, let's say there's a song on your album. It's called "Coffin Has No Silver Lining," and the opening riff is truthfully inspired by Judas Priest for sure, and it's no secret. We like to play homage to our favorite bands, but some people say, "Oh, this sounds totally like a Motley Crue riff," and I think they mean "Looks That Kill" or something. And then we all feel a little bit insulted. Nothing wrong with "Looks That Kill" by Motley Crue; it's actually their best song, I think. But it's not necessarily a Lucifer influence, you know? So, I think we are a little bit, I think that's normal. Everybody gets a little bit, neurotic about their, their music that they put out into the world. And when people compare it to like weird stuff, you know, you get a little, that maybe you're not so into, you know, and the journalist is very sure that this is what we're playing on or something, then it's a little bit like, no, but that's not true. But speak for yourself, dude.
Well, I did get that from the album when you make the Judas Priest reference, because a lot of the music, I think more so on this one than previous albums, is there really is a sense of the new wave of British heavy metal from the late 70s, early 80s. You know, whether it's Judas Priest, whether it's Angel Witch, or some of the bands like Holocaust, I think is another one that I have, and all that stuff. And I love that period of music. So listening to this album, it kind of brought me back to that era, that period of music in rock history.
Yeah, I mean, we totally are not trying to reinvent the wheel, as I always say, because our tastes lie within that period of time. Starting from, you know, rock of the late 60s, definitely all of the 70s, and maybe a little bit of the absolutely new wave of British heavy metal and some 80s stuff. Maybe me more so than Nicke, who I write together with. But yeah, so we're not trying to do anything new, because for our taste buds, that's kind of where the best of rock lies, is in that period of time. And yeah, I mean, there, of course, you know, you could criticize this by saying, "Oh, but you're not progressing in any way. You're not, you know, doing anything. Like everything you do is kind of has been done before." And yeah, sure, that's okay. You know, we do what we love. Basically, we make the music that we love and that we sonically dig. Yeah.
I think it's fine to have those influences. I think Lucifer is unique enough where you do have your own sound. I mean, when I say it pays a tribute or homage, like you said, to, you know, the Judas Priest era, and I'm more into like the new wave of British heavy metal, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that is your sound, and I think as far as today's bands go, I mean, you know Lucifer when you hear it. I mean, Lucifer has such a unique tone to their music and a unique way of presenting it that it is different. And it does call back to some other influences like we mentioned, but I think every band in the history has done that, from the Stones to Zeppelin to all that stuff. I mean, everybody always calls back to their influences, and I think because we live in a world that's so connected, you know, and everybody has an opinion now. You know, that's the thing. Everybody has an opinion, but I don't look at that ever as a negative thing. I think that's playing for what you came from, and you're putting your own spin on it.
Yeah, and I think that's that actually is not so easy to find your own language. And I'm very happy that you hear it that way. I guess it is a funny collage of, you know, morbid lyrics and some doom and some heavy rock and 70s hard rock, all jumbled together. But yeah, we just do what we love.
The sound that you have is it's very easy to gain a visual with the way your lyrics are and the way the music presents itself. Is that something that when you're writing a song, you have a visual aspect, an idea of what the story needs to tell in the music?
I don't have it right away. Usually we start with the instrumentation, and then I sit down and to compose the vocal melody. I treat it like an instrument. I feed the music into my garage band, super simple, and then I sit down with a microphone and I try different melodies, and I kind of sing gibberish, just to feel, where the hook is. And then once I have that, then I think about, that kind of happens during the process of constructing some vocal melody. I think about what does the song feel like for me. And sometimes when I record this gibberish, when I try to find the melody, words come out and I have no idea where they come from. And it's like, whoa, that's from my subconsciousness. That's I have to write this down, so that has to stay in the song. And then I puzzle together the rest of it. But sometimes I also, I always scribble down words and phrases and stuff. So I have like tons of sheets of music, of lyrics. And then I have certain themes that I've been meaning to sing about and or write a text about. And then I will, when I have a song that needs a text, sit down and be like, this is the right lyric for that song. And then I will adjust the words and add to the words until it fits to the vocal melody that I made for the song. So it's kind of like a puzzle piece.
Where do you think, I should say, come from within you? Because you write a lot about the darkness and dark types of things and perspective, with the subject matter. And I think it's great. I love it. I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it. Where does that come from within you, though? I mean, what influences do you draw from? Not so much maybe musically, but just throughout your life.
Yeah, I mean, everything is really kind of personal, all the lyrics, even though, they're shrouded with like symbolism, like there's figures that I use for real people in my life, but every song mirrors something that happened to me or that I'm thinking about. And I think it started when I was a teenager. I like all the visual aspect that I try to pack in there too, because I'm a very visual person. I love.
Get business done with the new American Express Graphite Business Cash Unlimited card. With unlimited 2% cash back on all eligible purchases, unlimited 5% cash back on flights and prepaid hotels booked through American Express Travel Online, and a flexible spending capacity that can grow with your business, you'll have the confidence to keep building. Apply today and earn a welcome offer of $1,500 cash back after you spend $50,000 in qualifying purchases on your new card within the first 6 months of card membership. Terms apply. Learn more at go.amex/graphite.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast instead of doom scrolling? Smart move. Another smart move? Getting help from one of State Farm's 19,000 local agents when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
At Ollie, we've got wellness down to a science. From PMS to pregnancy to menopause, our women's wellness line offers science-backed support for every stage. No judgment, no shame, none of the stigma. Just supplements designed to meet you wherever you're at. Ollie, choose science over shame. Find support at a retailer near you or on ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
Movies. I love soaking up old buildings, taking walks on cemeteries. I love old churches. Whenever, I am somewhere and I pass a church, I have to peek in if the door's open. I love the smell of old buildings. I follow this page called Cheap Old Houses, and then you can look at photos from old Victorian decaying mansions and stuff. I love that kind of stuff. So I have all these images in my head, and I grew up, in the 80s and 90s in Berlin, and Berlin at the time was still very morbid, now they restored a lot of stuff, but I always walked cemeteries, and all these images with a little bit of romanticizing the morbidity of it. I got into occult literature when I was a teenager. I always loved horror movies. There's so many things in my head. I collect, images that are morbid. I think all the visual stuff that I love, I try to pack into the lyrics as well. I had to deal personally with a lot of loss and death in my life, being it friends or family members. And I'm trying to deal with that in the lyrics as well, because I feel very helpless when it comes to death, because it's the one thing that nobody can control, and that devastates me. And so, yeah, I use the songs as a vehicle to somehow do some sort of therapy on myself.
But it's a way of coping. It's a way of coping for you.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah. I think what strikes me in the comment is how you love old churches, which is a very religious, thing to do, right? Appreciating the church and the structure and the architecture. And then you have the band Lucifer. It's kind of like one end meets the other. Where did that all come from, with kind of like this, the appreciation for religion to the morbid, occult literature and cemeteries, because it's kind of like a yin and the yang type of thing.
Yeah, but I think both is important, I mean, that's why you have in the songs not only the darkness, but you also have the upbeat parts, that are in contrast to the doom parts, where you feel like you get a feeling of hopefulness, and you have that in the lyrics too. There's uplifting stuff in there, opposed to the gloom. And I think it's important to have the contrast, because that mirrors life. That's how life is, and you kind of need both also, and it has to coexist. And I think it comes. So I come from a family of pastors. So my mom dragged me to church, like maybe more so like on Christmas, or when I was like, I don't know, funerals, weddings and stuff like that. And I would sit, in the last row with a Walkman in defiance, but still in loving the beautiful ornaments and the architecture and how everything sounds and smells and so on. And so I do understand. I mean, though I'm not Christian, I can appreciate the mysterium you find in all the different religions, and there's angles and philosophy in any world religion that I think anyone could draw from. And I mean, I'm not a Satanist either, though when I was a teenager, I was very sure but I just think, there's interesting angles in all religions and in the different philosophies, and that anyone could draw from to somehow cope with life and have some sort of tools to. I mean, we all want the same thing, and in life, and people need different tools, and especially, in times of urgency. And I want there to be more than just like I die and then I get, eaten by maggots and that's it. I want there to be a beyond death existence somehow. That's why there are songs like Ghosts, because the people that I've lost in my life, I wish they weren't just gone forever and there's nothing, because that's so sad. I mean, the front of my brain, thinks, well, that's exactly what's going to happen. When you drop dead, you get cremated or you get buried, and then that's all that's left of you. But at the same time, I'm longing for somehow being able to still connect to those ghosts of my past, because I'm so sentimental, and I think it's very hard to live with the understanding that something is gone forever. And religions or in my case, it's music, helps me to somehow make a world that makes it okay for me to live in it. That somehow the pain of living gets soothed or something. I don't know. I make a bubble with Lucifer, a bubble that I can exist in without dying of heartache somehow.
Well, I can speak to some of this because I went to Catholic school for 8 years growing up, and I went to church 3 times a week. And then, if I was an altar boy, I had to do mass sometimes before school and do that. So growing up in that environment and growing up in that type of education, you're always, I think, more attracted to the darker things that you're told are evil, you are told that it's bad, and more so like in a private Catholic school or a school that's affiliated with a religion, because you're constantly talked about good and evil. And as a young kid, you're inclined to explore the unknown and you're curious about the dark things that they tell you are bad. So yeah, I remember going into cemeteries when I was younger and walking there at night and feeling a sense of mystery and a sense of coldness there, and just ghost stories and hearing different stories that people tell. I think people who do have a religious background are more inclined to wonder about that stuff because you're told constantly about it.
Yeah, but I must say that the Catholic Church is, because I come from a Protestant family, so it was very liberal. I had aunts who were priests, and so women had the same rights in church, opposed to the Catholic Church, where you can't marry when you're the priest and things like that. So, and for example, I was in church until I left church when I was 16, but I also had to go to school, and I had a confirmation when I was 14, and the pastor was gay. That all these type of things, at least back when I was a teenager, I know they're trying to open up a little bit more, but I think the Catholic Church is maybe a little bit more literal when it comes to like hellfire and these type of things, so the background of my family was a little bit more open-minded church background, a little bit more humanistic, but I totally hear you. And but I also have to say, the cemeteries and so on, I actually find comfort in them, because so when I was a teenager, I would go to the cemeteries of Berlin, and they're very beautiful with old crypts, and it's kind of romantic, with the ivy growing over the old mausoleums, and in summer, the birds are singing. There's giant old trees, and you can sit in the tall grass amongst the tombstones. There's something very beautiful about it. And what I love when I go to these places now is it looks exactly the same from when I was a teenager. So it's almost like time stood still there for the past 30 years. Nothing has changed. It still looks exactly like 150 years ago, except for maybe a few modern gravestones with modern font. God damn them. But yeah, of course, there is a rebellion, and I guess that's what attracted me to metal and the devil when I was a teenager. Absolutely. I mean, it was, my parents listened to kind of more like classic rock and the Stones and, I don't know, Roxy Music, Velvet Underground. My brother was a punk. So, of course, I needed my own thing. And of course, the devil is extremely interesting when you're a teenager. So I think all these things blend in all together. But I know another famous example is Madonna, right? I mean, she was brought up extremely Catholic, and up to this day, I just saw the celebration tour here in Stockholm. She still drenches her whole show into religious. I mean, there's whole parts of the show that is I don't know if you've seen any sort of footage of it, but she always has, especially when it's like a prayer and so on, the crosses and the what do you call that, the preaching gowns and so on. It's I'm very attracted to that. Absolutely.
I don't think, like yourself and myself, who have that religious aspect in our background, and for people like us, I don't think you ever get away from that. I mean, I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore, but it still stays with me. It's still that upbringing of, with religion and good and evil. I mean, I remember, being just fascinated that people would think that bands were satanic or bands had a secret message if you played it backwards. It was so surreal to me back then, like that people would make these claims. And I even remember listening to Iron Maiden or Judas Priest or Ozzy Osbourne back in the day and having to sneak those albums into my house. And of course, when you're young, that sense of danger is attractive, right? It's like, it kind of gives you an adrenaline rush, and it kind of adds to your love to that music, because it's so, man, if my mother found this, I would be in trouble, or I don't know what would happen. And I remember I was getting, I had a nun for a teacher, and she found, I think, I forget what album it was. I think it was a Crocus album, actually. And I was told I was going to go to hell for having that album. And they had to have a big meeting at school about my taste in music. It was incredible. And it always stays with me, that whole thought process and that whole experience to this day. And like you said, with the cemeteries, I've always found cemeteries to be beautiful too, in that they've been around forever, and they are kind of like a living monument of history of everything. It's like some of these gravestones have been around for, like you said, hundreds of years, and then you have the new ones, and it's constantly evolving, but it's constantly the same too as well.
Yeah, and it's kind of, it always puts life in perspective when you walk over a cemetery, and I think because you go kind of inwards, you read the headstones, and it's kind of like, a graveyard is full of books that contain the life stories of people. And I don't know, I just always come out of a cemetery feeling happy that I'm alive.
But it also, spawns reflection too, right? I mean, you can't help but wonder of the lives of the people that are buried in the cemetery. I go and visit my grandfather a couple times a year where he's buried, and it's just always an immediate sense of reflection, whether it's the memories of the individual that you're going to see or just what's around you. I mean, everybody came from somewhere, and now everybody's in like this one place. It's a very unique thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your favorite cemetery which is the most beautiful one you've seen in the US?
I would say it's Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel is a very old cemetery in the Chicago area, and it's also right across the street from Queen of Heaven. So they're both next to each other, and it's got a lot of history because a lot of mobsters from Chicago are buried in these cemeteries too as well.
Ooh, okay.
So like Sam Giancana, who's near my grandfather, he was the head of the mob after Al Capone.
Holy shit. So how is it with the burial culture for mobsters? Do they get super swanky crypts?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like a mausoleum when you see them. It's like this huge thing. Like you can walk into it, you can sit down inside of it, everything. It's like a monstrosity. It's incredible.
I love that. I once saw a crypt in or mausoleum in Berlin. You could peek through the glass door, and inside you saw a little table and a chair and an ashtray and a like gold-colored lighter. And yeah, it's almost like they made it. Whoever has the key to the mausoleum can hang out and have a little, I don't know, cherry liquor or something and smoke a cigarette. I love that.
Yeah, and oddly enough, my grandfather, and this is kind of where my love of music comes from, he was a lounge piano player back in the days of the speakeasies. And his Sam Giancana, who was head of the mob, my grandfather was his favorite piano player.
Wow.
So he used to play at these mob-owned clubs, and my grandfather used to tell me the story that one of the mobsters' wife left him or girlfriend left him, and he made my grandfather play the same song over and over again for 3 hours while he held a gun to my grandfather's head.
That's horrible. Oh my God.
It is horrible, but it's also really cool, right? That
It's really cool.
yeah,
So
my
I
grandfather.
totally, I was just gonna say, of course you're biased towards Chicago if you have such a family history
Yeah.
in that city. I mean, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's just it does. It really kind of gives you a sense of what your purpose is in life, right? Because whether we want to believe it or not, and we kind of touched on it earlier, every day we're one step closer to our own history ending, right? I mean, that's just the reality, and we try not to think about it, but once you're born, the next step, is to die, whenever that is.
I love your positive notion. Well, that's why I think it's important to realize that. And as much as I think about death, I try to, when I'm down, for example, I always try to do something positive because I love life very much. And, you're kind of dead forever before and after. So I try to, that's why we've been recording so many albums, because you never know when your number is up, right?
It's what you do while you're here. Isn't that the idea? I mean, your bookend by life and the other end is death, and it's all about what you do while you're living. And it's important to live as much as you can and do as much as you can. So yeah, I agree 100%.
I think so too. I have a friend and who is always very depressed and who kind of resorts to letting herself, as we say in German, fall on her back like a beetle and can't move. And she's in her 40s and she is really depressed by life, but she doesn't really have a reason. And I always, she's a little bit my project, so I always try to be there for her as a friend and cater to her needs. But sometimes, like every now and then I feel like shaking her and say, why are you pissing away your life? You have only this one life and you're not old. You're in the middle of your life. You could do so many things. You're not ill. You're not poor. You have a beautiful son. Everything is okay. Stop. I sometimes don't get it, when, because we all have our things to carry in life and we all have things we could, be, depressed about. And it's okay to be depressed for a day or two, but then I think it's very important to be constructive. And that's why, the music and the writing and so on really helps to put everything into a sort of, it's like a catharsis, where you give even the terrible things some sort of beautiful frame, and you make it into a story or a song, and then you put it out there, and then it's off your chest, and you gave it. I don't know how to explain this, but
you gave it resolution.
Yeah, you give it resolution. Exactly. somehow, and sometimes it sucks when you sing a song live and then you get reminded of a shitty situation over and over again. But sometimes songs can also be different things, and you can, of course, interpret it in different ways. And that's the beauty of music, when the listener somehow finds themselves or some story they go through in a song and it comforts them or puts stuff in perspective for them, then, then the goal is achieved for me and for them. So that's great. That's the beauty about music.
Well, I think that's a great place to end too as well, Johanna. It's been a great conversation. And like I said, I love the band. I love what you guys are about. And I hope at some point again you get back to the United States and tour, and again continued success for you and the rest of your bandmates.
Thank you so much for the kind words. Excuse my babbling. You got me in a babble mood today, and yes, I hope we're coming back soon so I can check out that beautiful cemetery in Chicago.
It's okay to babble. Podcasts, we talk, so babbling's good. That's a great thing.
All righty. Well, have a nice day over there, and thank you.
Everyone, that is Johanna from the band Lucifer. You can check out all the band's links in the show notes. So when you're done listening, click on those and go visit Lucifer on their website and also on their social media. Once again, I'm Jay Scott. This has been another episode of The Hook Rocks. Take care of each other, stay safe, and we will talk soon. Thank you.
At ZocDoc, we know being a healthy adult is like living in a video game. Every day has side quests, taxes, laundry, birthdays, and just when you're leveling up, you have to book a doctor. The insurance portal crashes, they put you on hold, your doctor doesn't take your plan, game over. We see you, so we made booking a doctor easy. Download ZocDoc, search by specialty, insurance, and availability. Book instantly, no cheat codes required. Find a doctor you love with ZocDoc.
See you.
Avatar: Fire and Ash is now streaming on Disney+. It's the film critics are calling the best Avatar yet.
Yeah! Go, 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 go!
A true epic and completely jaw-dropping.
This is the only pure thing in this world.
Return to Pandora on Disney+.
It will be an adventure for the whole family.
And watch the Oscar-winning phenomenon at home.
This is sick!
Avatar: Fire and Ash, now streaming on Disney+. Rated PG-13.
The right window treatments change everything. Your sleep, your privacy, the way every room looks and feels. At Blinds.com, we've spent 30 years making it surprisingly simple to get exactly what your home needs. We've covered over 25 million windows and have 50,000 five-star reviews to prove we deliver. Whether you DIY it or want a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we have you covered. Real design professionals, free samples, zero pressure. Right now, get up to 45% off site-wide, plus get a free professional measure at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.